Welcome back to another week of previewing the sermon that is upcoming this Sunday. So we are continuing to look at the Gospel of Matthew. Last week we were in chapter 5. We started the Sermon on the Mount. And this week we're going to focus on chapter 6. Now again, like last week, there is just way too much information to get through, way too much that Jesus says for me to do, proper justice, which I think is probably the case, every week preaching. I just don't have the time to get to everything that I would like to say, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But this week, again, in the Sermon on the Mount, I don't know. There's so much that I want to say, but I'm going to limit my time. I'm going to limit what we're talking about to Jesus' instruction on prayer, on fasting, and then on treasures in heaven. And of course, again, there's a lot to be said with each of those, but I think we can do a decent job of trying to cover them. So in particular with prayer, one of the things that we're going to kind of focus on is, again, the way in which Jesus instructs the disciples, us as his disciples, to pray. How does it start? Why does he start that way? What does it look like for us to petition God in the ways that Jesus tells us to? I think they're very, very instructive. With fasting, what's the point of fasting, does Jesus say? And how does it relate? How does fasting maybe relate to the prayer that immediately precedes it? But then also the way that Jesus talks about treasure or possessions on earth and treasure and possessions in heaven. What's the connection there? And then, so finally, talking about treasures in heaven, what does it mean to store treasures in heaven? What on earth could that actually be talking about? And why does Jesus care so much about that? Don't we live here and now? I mean, isn't it important for us to focus on the here and now? So there are a lot of really good questions that go along with some of the underlying presumptions that Jesus is making, which of course, I don't think any of them are wrong. But why is he making them? And specifically the people that he's talking to, these poor, backwater hick people of Upper Galilee, how are they factored into the ways in which Jesus is speaking? Is this how he might talk to, say, the Pharisees in the temple or something like that? So a lot of really good places to go with it. I am refining where I'm going with it, and I hope it will be good this week. So I want you to read ahead, read chapter 6 for this week. Be prepared to come and listen and have your heart and your mind open to what God is trying to say to you through it. But also, if you want to take the time, do some of your own study. Get prepared on your own. See what conclusions you can draw. Just reading Jesus' words and maybe what you would, the ways that you would, approach thinking about this chapter. So that's what we're going to be talking about this coming Sunday. I'm really looking forward to being with you, and I hope that even if you can't be here with us this coming Sunday, that you have a wonderful and blessed week as you try to live the way that God wants you to. All right, I hope to see you Sunday, and go with God and be well.